Hey everyone, so I am on my way now to Atlanta to fly to go pick up my grandfather. He is in Ukraine, and over the last couple of weeks I've been making arrangements to try to get him out. So what I want to do is I want to document a little bit about what's going on and just my journey there. I'm going to spend some time in Turkey, Germany, and then if everything goes well, I'll meet my grandfather in Germany. If there's any kind of hiccups or anything, I can then get on a plane over to Poland, get to the border, and then pick him up. But so far, everything is going according to plan. I'm headed to Atlanta. It's a 4.5-hour drive. I'm going to meet my friend there. I've known him for a long time. We're going to grab some dinner, and then my flight is at 10:45 tonight from Atlanta to Istanbul, and it's a 10.5-hour flight. I land there at 4 o'clock their time during the day, and then I'm going to have a couple hours. I have a 16-hour layover, so that will give me plenty of time to explore the Istanbul a little bit and see if I can find some good food and maybe see a few things before I get back to the airport and get on my plane to Germany. So far, everything's going really good. I have a lot of people who are praying for me, and a lot of people who have given money unexpectedly, which was actually really funny, because I guess when you have somebody's phone number, you can just give them money. So I'm very thankful for everybody who's contributed to this to help get my grandfather out. So thank every single one of you. Now, as far as the story goes, so it's a little bit of a hard logistical nightmare is what it was last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna try to explain it a little bit. But it all started with Russia invading Ukraine and bombing some of their major cities. And so first thing I did was pick up the phone and call my grandfather, and my uncle spoke to my uncle, and basically what they said was that because my grandfather lives next to a military airfield, he woke up to a couple big explosions, and so my uncle went to go stay with him and make sure that he was okay. And at that point, nobody was deciding to go anywhere, nobody was deciding to leave. But over the last couple of weeks, as if you've seen in the news, things have been escalating in Ukraine, and more cities were getting attacked. And so it's getting harder and harder for people to leave Ukraine. And I saw a Instagram video of so my cousin's wife's brother who lives in Ukraine, and he was actively getting people out of Ukraine, which gave me the idea to possibly get my grandfather out. So I reached out to her and asked if there's anything that we can do to get my grandfather out, and if her brother was passing through my grandfather's village, and maybe he can swing by and pick him up and get him to the border. And with communications in Ukraine being kind of spotty right now, with internet going in and out, it's very hard to get a hold of somebody unless they actively have Wi-Fi. And since her brother was going back and forth all over the country trying to get people from eastern Ukraine over to western Ukraine, he was hard to get a hold of. So while that was in motion, I started looking at plane tickets and seeing what I can do from America to try to go out there and hopefully meet my grandfather at the border of Ukraine and Poland, which is a lot of refugees are heading in that direction. And I think up until this point, as the making of this video, is 2.5 million people have already gotten out. So it became a little bit of a logistical challenge to try to get my grandfather to the border. My friend in Germany, he is married to my wife's cousin, and he lives in Germany, and me and him started talking, and because he does a lot of traveling, I wanted to get the scoop on how to get to Germany, how to get to Poland, how to travel within Europe and Eastern Europe, how hard is it to rent a car, getting airplane tickets. And so he asked me if there's anything that he could do to help. And I said, if you could just find out some of these basic things for me, I'd be really thankful. And my idea up until this point was at least to get into Germany to be closer to the border of Poland and Ukraine, so that way if I needed to, I can hop on a plane in an instant and be there in a couple hours, versus right now it's taking me 30 hours to get there, especially being that it's last minute. So he said, well, I have a friend of mine who has his grandmother headed to the border. So this is us talking Friday, okay, so this is 2 days ago on a Friday. And he's like, how about I get you guys connected, and if you can get your grandfather to the border, remember, I still haven't figured that part out yet. If my grandfather can get to the border, he will try to get his grandma, because she was headed to the border too, and my grandfather together, and then bring them to Germany. And then I will meet my grandfather in Germany, and then I will take him to California, which is where my mom is, which is his daughter. So his name is Roman, and so Roman was trying to help me figure out a way to get my grandfather on the same bus that his grandmother was going to be on, that's headed to the border. And so he called around, and unfortunately with the way the routes were, and it's getting harder and harder to travel throughout Ukraine, and now with Russia attacking Western Ukraine also, some of the major cities had a lot of choke points, if you will, for lack of better terms, where it's really hard to pass through. So you have to kind of go around a lot of those areas, and a lot of these bus drivers, they communicate on a closed network communication system, so that way they can't be tracked and can't be stopped. So they're basically, once they load the bus wherever they're starting, they're not stopping. So that equation, or that solution, was out of the equation to get my grandfather on that same bus. And then after speaking to my cousin who's there, he said, why don't you worry about everything west of Ukraine? I will get grandfather, because we have the same granddad, I will get him to the border. So my uncle, they figured it out, gets him to Lviv in Ukraine, to my cousin, and then my cousin puts my grandfather and Roman's grandmother on a bus to the border. And so at the making of this video, my grandfather and his grandmother are already waiting to cross the border. It's a long line, barely moving, so they're going to be there for a couple hours. So while that's happening, my friend who got me in contact with Roman, through his homework, found me a plane ticket, a last-minute plane ticket. So this was yesterday, last-minute plane ticket leaving today, so a day later, which I told you going to stop in Turkey and so on and so forth. And the price was fantastic, and we bought this plane ticket before I even figured out whether or not my grandfather was going to make it to the border in time. So what's happening right now is Roman, he had plans to go meet his grandmother in the border, at the border of Poland and Ukraine, and he volunteered to help my grandfather pick up all of them, get on an airplane. They're going to spend the night at a hotel, get on an airplane, fly to Germany. My grandfather and Roman will meet me in, and I'm thinking I'm pronouncing this correctly, it's spelled like Cologne, but I think it's pronounced Köln, Germany. And so I fly in to Frankfurt from Turkey. I will take a bus or a train, something, I haven't figured that part out yet, to Köln, Germany, where I will meet my grandfather, and then we will start heading towards America. The good news is my grandfather has an American visa. He's had one for a little while. He's been able to visit. So that was thankfully something that was taken care of. Once I bought my plane ticket, then I remembered COVID, and that I had to get tested for my, because they say before 48 hours before you fly internationally into Turkey and Germany, you have to get a COVID test. So I did a rapid COVID test, and then I had to buy a visa for Turkey, so I had to figure that out. Then I had to pack. So in the last 24 hours, all of this has happened. So now I'm headed to Atlanta. It's like I said, 4.5 hour drive. So that way I can hop on a plane and I can hopefully meet my grandfather at the border. I will be documenting this, so if you are interested, just feel free to follow along, and I will keep you updated as I get more information on the entire situation. Keep praying for me, praying for my family in Ukraine, pray for my wife who's at home with 4 kids, and hopefully everything goes smoothly, and so far it has. It has been going very, very smoothly, and I'm very thankful for that. So thank you for watching, and I will keep you updated.